Hi, this is David Dickens, and today we have two listener questions from listeners, both of whom are on the doorstep of retirement, literally months away, and they have two totally different questions. I hope one of them, or maybe both, are useful for you. I'll go get Walter and we'll get started.
So glad you're with us today on Cover Your Assets KC. Walter Storholt here alongside David Dickens, President, Wealth Advisor of Creative One Advisors Group. Find us online at creativeoneadvisorsgroup.com. Contact info in the description of today's show if you want to get in touch and ask any questions like our listeners have done for our two questions today. We'll dive into those in a moment. But first, David, how are you? Hope life is treating you well.
Yeah, let's see. What can I say to account for my activities?
You must have been doing a lot of traveling to see the grandkids and back and forth over the last couple of months, I would imagine.
Yep, some of that going on. I'm on the doorstep. Speaking of these listeners that are on the doorstep of retirement.
We could really make this three people on the doorstep of retirement today, right?
Well, that's true too, but where I was going was I'm on the doorstep of my 45th wedding anniversary.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting.
So that is very exciting. That takes a very patient woman to get that far with me. So anyway, that's kind of the big upcoming excitement for my life over the next couple of weeks.
Any big plans for the number 45?
Well, yes.
You might have to keep them a secret, so I don't know if you can publicize it here on the podcast, too.
I probably... how about if I tell you in 2 weeks where we went?
There you go. I like it. We'll follow up next episode. Exactly.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we can't give it away. Is she a dedicated listener to the podcast?
She is not. She's a retired attorney who has total faith in my financial abilities. So this is amongst the last podcast she would ever listen to.
Yep, I would imagine so. That is okay, David. And so I'm sure someone she knows, though, might be, sneak the leak of the info to her. So we're going to avoid that, and we'll wait till after the fact to get the details.
Let's do that.
Well, enjoy your 45th together, and looking forward to hearing about where you guys ended up. Let's get to these questions. I know our listeners are probably really, especially the ones who wrote the questions, very interested here. So as you mentioned, we'll have two of them, pretty closely related in their timing, but kind of different angles to their questions. So that'll be the fun part. So let's get to this first question here. And the listener says, I'm retiring toward the end of the year, exact date to be determined. And amazingly, I'll have about 16 weeks of unused vacation and sick leave that they'll have to pay me. I'm told that I can take this all in my final paycheck or continue being paid on my normal schedule every 2 weeks for a few months after I retire. Does it matter which way I do it? I remember my mom a couple of years ago going through kind of a similar situation when she retired and trying to figure out that same kind of deal.
Yeah, and it absolutely could matter to you. And we won't be able to get specifics. I have 3 different thoughts for you on this. And we won't know specifics because we don't know enough about you, your salary level, what you've saved up for retirement, etc. But 16 weeks, oh my gosh, that could be a chunk of change. So, good for you. Here are the couple things that I think that you would want to think about. With that big chunk of money, that could cause your tax bracket to creep into the next tax bracket if you took it in 2026. And that might be a reason to have it be paid out during the first, 16 weeks, however they pay you out in 2027. So, for instance, the 12% bracket ends at taxable income of $100,800. Maybe this is going to push you into the 22% bracket, and you say, "Well, I don't want to pay 22% on that," when I would pay 12% on it if I just waited into 2026. Maybe you're already in the 22% bracket, and that ends at $211,400, and you say, "Well, the next bracket's 24%, not a bunch higher if I took it this year, but next year with just Social Security, I'm going to be in the 12% bracket. So instead of paying 24%, I get paid 12% by waiting." So take a look at your tax bracket creep and see what tax bracket you expect to be in at the end of 26, the marginal tax bracket, and what you're going to be in 27. You're probably, let's just say you might have a pension. Your spouse, if you have one, might have a pension. You might have a couple of Social Securities, but project out your 26. You'll know what your 2026 marginal tax bracket is, or it's pretty easy to calculate. And then just make an estimate of 27 and see, are you going to incur some tax bracket creep? The second idea, most times when I have seen this, that kind of payment comes out as W-2 income. And what I mean by that is, that's money that, if your company will allow it, you could fund a 401k contribution in 2027 and maybe get a company match too. So the 2026 number for people in your age bracket would be a contribution of $32,500 into your 401k. So maybe you use, and a lot of plans will allow you to contribute 100% of your W-2 income into your 401k. So theoretically, you could put all of that into your 401k. You would also want to take a look and say, well, my 401k has a Roth component to it. Maybe I want to do the Roth 401k because your income, you wouldn't really need the deduction you get from doing an IRA contribution in 27. So I just encourage you to take a look at that. Make sure that you know from your company's plan. Just call HR and ask them if that money is going to come to you and would it be able to be contributed to a 401k in 2027. And then the third thought is maybe you are not yet taking Social Security and you're not yet 70 years old, because as every listener of our podcast knows, once you turn 70, the amount you get every month stops going up. And so maybe you're 69, maybe you're, let's call it somewhere between 67 and 70. And maybe, and each month that you don't take it, that you delay it, it goes up 8% a year. So what is that, 0.7, maybe it's 0.7, 0.75% each month you don't take it. So maybe this amount of money that you're not going to do a 401k contribution. You are deciding to delay it, but maybe it's just the income you live on while you delay Social Security claiming another couple of months. So there's probably 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 more ideas, but those are the 3 that were top of mind for me. Check them out. You've got, if it looks to me as though you've got another 6 months to figure it out. Have a chat with HR. If you got an advisor, have a chat with them and see what choices you have that would make the most sense for you.
Excellent question. And so intriguing that there are lots of different directions you can take that and solutions available to you. So lots to think about there. Fantastic. By the way, if you have a question for David and want to explore options, something that you might be going through, you can always have those conversations one-on-one with the team. Very easy to get in touch. You can call 913-317-1414 or go online to creativeoneadvisorsgroup.com. Contact info listed in the description of today's show so you can find it easily. Let's get to that second question, David. So also someone close to retirement. Very interesting phrasing that they have here. It involves all caps. And you can guess the word that's in all caps. I'm extremely ready to retire, but I won't be old enough for Medicare for another 13 months. Should I just stick it out until then?
Yeah, that privately funding your own healthcare insurance is a shocker for people who retire before getting to 65, which is Medicare age. And most of us, during our work years, we've had the company that just pays for that. Used to be they paid for you and your spouse, and these days your spouse is usually an extra unless they're working outside the home. So should I just stick it out until then? The first question I have for you is, does your retirement plan, your financial plan, say that you are good either way? You don't need 13 more months of income, 13 more months of stashing money into your 401k. You're good. Your plan says you've got plenty of money to last, regardless of whether you work for another 13 months or so. It kind of sounds like that you do have a plan and that you know that you're good either way. So in that case, here are some other things to think about. We don't know if you're married or single. We don't know, let's say that you're married and your spouse is of a different age than you. Maybe your spouse is working and they have healthcare coverage at their place and you're not worried about them. But if you were sitting in my office, that's one of the first discussions we'd have is married or single. The second thing we'd want to know is if you have healthcare through your company, they're going to offer you COBRA coverage, and that's just an extension of your existing coverage for oftentimes 12 to 15 to 18 months. But it's usually pretty expensive, and that's where your sticker shock comes in. That can be between, $1,300 a month and $1,800 a month for coverage. And you might look at that and go, 13 months of that? I don't think that's my deal. The third thing I thought about was under what I'm going to loosely call Obamacare. There's an Obamacare subsidy if your income is less than 400% of the federal poverty level, your modified adjusted gross income. But if it's like $10 more, then this is a funding cliff where it goes way up to a very high number very quickly after you get past these limits. So you'd want to get some good financial advice on this, but generally speaking, not financial advice for you. If you're single, 400% of the federal poverty level in 2026 is about $62,600. So if you have modified adjusted gross income below $62,600, you can get a really big subsidy if you go through the healthcare marketplace. If you're married filing joint, 400% of the poverty level is $84,600 in 2026. So, but if you make a couple of $200, $300, $400 more than those amounts, the subsidy doesn't just get decreased, it goes away. So maybe instead of paying $250 or $350 a month for your coverage, if you do get the subsidy, you might be paying $1,200 or $1,300 or $1,500 a month. So a difference of $12,000 a year, and you're talking about a 13-month sticking it out period. So that it can be dramatic. If you can qualify for that Obamacare subsidy, it can be a dramatically cheaper cost of health insurance. You might say, well, my income is a little bit above that amount. Do I have any choices? And I would say, yeah, you do. One would be to manufacture a lower modified adjusted gross income. So let's say your plan is to stop working and start taking money out of your IRA, but you also have non-IRA money. It's going to get a little complicated, but if you decide for that 13 months, I need to manufacture a lower taxable income, a lower modified adjusted gross income, I'm going to take money out of my Roth and my non-IRA money instead of taking money out of my 401k or my IRA rollovers. The reason you would do that is because spending out of a non-qualified account, a brokerage account, you're not taxed on every dollar that comes out of it. You're just taxed on the dividends, the interest, and the long-term capital gains, short-term capital gains too. You also know that if you take money out of your Roth, that's not taxable. So you might have income of more than, let's say you're married filing joint, you know that the cap is around $84,600. You might have spendable income of more than that, but some of that income is coming from non-IRA money and Roth money. You've artificially manufactured a lower modified adjusted gross income based on the type of money you're spending. The other thing, just to kind of couple this first question with this second question, you can reduce your modified adjusted gross income by contributing to your 401k or your IRA, or if you happen to be able to make health savings account contributions, those reduce your modified adjusted gross income as well. So for instance, let's say that part of this 13-month period is, now it's really important to know how much income you have, but you could ramp up your 401k contributions either this year or next year, depending on which tax year we're talking about, such that you can use that to manufacture a smaller modified adjusted gross income. You mentioned in the last question, you can put up to $32,500 in your 401k this year. Probably a little bit more next year since it's indexed to inflation. So those are a couple of ideas. They are not specific advice for you, but hopefully you found them to be helpful. And then the last one would be, if your plan is pretty tight, you have enough, but maybe not really confident that your money's going to last to age 95 or 100, then you just stick it out. Max out your 401k, use your paid time off for some fun stuff that helps that 13 months go faster. I have talked to a number of retirees that once they can see the finish line, once they know when the date is, the job becomes a lot easier. Maybe you're a tax accountant and you're saying, well, I'm not sticking it out for 13 months, but maybe I'll go till next January, February, and then I'm retiring before tax season starts. So, all of those are situational. They're specific to you. But you have a lot of options, and pretty cool that you're this close to being at 65. Your full retirement age is 67. So Social Security fully wouldn't start until 67, but sounds like you've done well for yourself. You've got a plan. You have money that you're going to make it either way. Take a look at these several ideas. If you can get that Obamacare subsidy, good for you. It'll save you a lot of money during that first 13 months before Medicare kicks in. If we can be of any help to you, then you should either write back or give us a call. We'd love to chat with you about your situation.
It's a fantastic way to frame these two questions, and just brings up the many things that pop up when you get closer to retirement. Everybody's got something different motivating them, maybe a different problem that's popping up that needs solving. These two questions just illustrate that beautifully. Again, the way to get in touch with David, if you do have those questions and want to dive into more specifics on your financial plan and how to get ready for retirement, go through the complete planning review process, the CPR process that David and the team at Creative One Advisors Group have, and they'll walk you through all the things you need to know about building that financial and retirement plan. 913-317-1414 is the number, 913-317-1414, and online at creativeoneadvisorsgroup.com. Contact info in the description of today's show. David, thanks so much for breaking down those two questions for us. We'll look forward to the reveal of your 45th wedding anniversary location on the next episode, and also whatever other financial and retirement talk you have planned for us as well.
Yeah. When this podcast drops, we will be on our trip, so we'll have a little chat about that next time.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next time on Cover Your Assets, KC.
Creative One Advisors Group has been proudly serving families in the Kansas City metropolitan area since 2003. Over the years, we've evolved to help meet the needs of our clients, becoming KC Financial Advisors in 2010. In November 2021, our advisory business was acquired by Creative One Wealth, LLC, C1W, and in January 2025, we officially adopted the name Creative One Advisors Group. Previous episodes were recorded under the branding of KC Financial Advisors, which has since been rebranded as Creative One Advisors Group. Any references to KC Financial Advisors should now be understood as referring to Creative One Advisors Group. Investment advisory services are offered through Creative One Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Creative One Advisors Group is a DBA of Creative One Wealth. Insurance services are offered through licensed insurance professionals. Investment advisory services are provided in accordance with the fiduciary duty of care and loyalty that includes putting your interest first and disclosing conflicts. Insurance services have a best interest standard, which requires recommendations to be in your best interest. Creative One Wealth is not affiliated with or endorsed by any government agency and does not provide tax, legal, or estate planning advice or services. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. No investment strategy can guarantee a profit or protect against loss. Neither asset allocation nor diversification can ensure a profit or guarantee against losses. None of the information contained herein shall constitute an offer to sell or solicit any offer to buy a security or any insurance product. Insurance product guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing company. The Creative One family of companies includes Creative One Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor, Creative One Securities, LLC, member FINRA SIPC, and a registered investment advisor, and Creative One Marketing, LLC. These companies share common ownership. Additional details regarding advisory services are available in our firm's ADV Part 2A and Form CRS.